All right, so shalom, everyone. This is Yehudah, and we're about to go through our second half of our class that we're having. The reason why this is very important, and this is a very important time to put this on the record, is the fact that where we are in the things that are happening around in this country. Our job has always been to gather Israel, to get Israel prepared, to educate Israel, to let them know what the prophecies say about the times that we are living in. And for the most part, most of us have come out of Christianity. We understand Christianity to be an alternative to what Yah is really requiring for his children. Understanding this, and the more we teach about the things that is required pertaining to the word, we understand that we have to be able to give our people the alternative to the rapture, the alternative to some of the other things that they have been taught in church. I am a full believer of the whole Bible. I want to put that disclaimer out there, that I believe in the whole book. We are a nation of people on this call. We are the nation of Yehudah, from the tribe of Yehudah, and we all are here as a family. We came here as slaves. We had Messianic, which believe in the Messiah, and non-Messianic together with us when we all came. We will leave together as Messianic and non-Messianic when we leave here. The only problem that we have now is the people that are not conscious and the people that are still in the churches. And I know that a lot of them are on the line and a lot of them are listening, because I hear it periodically in some of their own YouTube channels that they have. There's a lot of things that are going on in our churches in the name of the Lord. And this is very important, and I didn't want to do this, but I have to do this way. We have to understand that our Bible has been hijacked. Our stories have been hijacked. And Malka and I were at the grocery store, and on the cover of the Life magazine, they had a picture of white Jesus, and underneath it says, "Whom do you say I am?" That's what was on the cover. And when I came up to the line to check out, and she showed me the photograph, my response was, "You are a fake."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only way I could put it. I know this may be damaging for some people. You may have an issue with what I have to say. But my response was, and I said it out loud, "You are a fake." They have created a fictitious character, and they've created a deity that looks like them, and the whole world is worshiping this deity. And our people have they have always worshipped this deity. And that is how we got in trouble in the first place. Was following other people and their deities that they have created, and we went following behind those deities and those people. That is the reason why we are in these lands of our captivity, is because we refuse to do what the Most High told us to do. That is important because of the way that we are carrying ourselves today in what we consider church to be. The thing about it is, everybody professes to be New Testament Christians. The pastors profess to be New Testament Christians. However, when it is feasible for them and profitable for them, they go back into the Old Testament and they steal stories that belong strictly to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They do. They come across with this false persona like they are the most religious people in the world and that they are a representative of the Most High Yah. The reason why I think that the Most High had put in my spirit to do this is because we've got to get our people ready to understand that what you have been sold is not true. The image that you have been given is not true. The manner by which you worship is not true.
Grammarly can help you rate quick.
Took me a moment to be able, if I open up the screen today and show you a Christian church service, because it takes you a minute to step out of it, to see the service, the way that it is structured, it is more emotional than anything. So what we want to do is to be able to bring you back down to a solid foundation and be able to get you, because the problem with having an emotional service is that you don't understand the Elohim in whom you claim you serve. You don't even know him. And you know why we know you don't know him? Is because a lot of people come over here and say, I have been in church for 50 years and have never learned what I've learned over here. You don't know him, you don't understand him, it's all based off of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to bring you, and if someone would like to challenge this, and we were to bring you on this class and let you run the class and tell us, show us information about who he is. We give you the whole class. We don't want any testimonies. We don't want any songs. We want you to take us to the scriptures and show us what salvation is all about, what it consists of, what happened, and how it came about, and who he is. 99.9% of the people would not be able to do that. They wouldn't. It's been hijacked. The scriptures have been plagiarized. And it's a brilliant trick of the enemy. Oh, he's brilliant. It was a brilliant trick of the enemy. Because like I always say, it comes complete with spirit. It comes complete with music. It comes complete with chills and shivers going up your back. It even comes complete with a language that you don't understand. It comes complete. But it's very dangerous because we're moving into some very dangerous territory. If you look at the black church today, they look exactly like the Catholic Church. Exactly.
That's so true.
They have on the same attire. When the bishops are installed, they wear the same mitres hat. They do the same, exactly like them. We're in a very dangerous place. But for the sake of those who are willing to listen, this is just for the sake of those who are willing to listen, we have to bring some things to the forefront, because these are the things that we have to really begin to expose. Everything and anything has been going in this country. Everything and anything. Do you know how many babies have been aborted? Just in this country. Do you know how many pastors, I'm just talking about pastors. We ain't even going to deal with politicians. But do you know how many pastors have been accused of sexual sins? On both male and females. Bishops going to jail for rape. Pastors going to jail for murder. Sodomy, sodomizing boys, sodomizing girls. All kind of stuff is going on in the name, and they're still preaching. Some of them are still preaching. These are the people who have hijacked the book. This is our history book. This book talks about our salvation. This book has our prophecies in there. This book talks about our story. This book talks about our redemption. And most of all, it tells us about our Elohim who chose us to be his people. And these people have taken this book and made a mockery out of it. Anybody have anything to say?
I do. It's idolatry, really. I don't know if you can hear me, but
I can hear you, Sam. I can hear you just fine.
That religion is idolatry. That's exactly what the Father was warning us about back then. You know, they came, and as you said, they hijacked and created this brand new. They pawned it off and made it look like Yeshua came to bring Christianity, and they changed the words, they changed the meanings, they reinterpreted the Bible, made us lose the language, the understanding, the customs, traditions of Israelite, traditions. It's just idolatry. It's just idolatry. I'm not going to say that I didn't learn anything there. I learned about the Bible, but I didn't learn anything as much as I've learned now, being awakened. So that's how I know that religion is in comparison to Muslim, all the other false religions. That's what I see anyway. It's just false. It's idolatry. It's just idolatry. Because, it's just moving you completely away from the truth. Completely away. And that's it.
I agree with her, and I think by shifting it from obedience to Yah and to his law, there was a foundational shift to just love. That put the focus on man, and I think it's what was needed to put us right where we are today that allowed the idolatry to seep in and allow what we're seeing today. Without that, we couldn't be seeing what we were seeing today.
Absolutely. I agree with you both. I do. I agree with you. It is, and it's a trick of the enemy. And you can, and people are so caught up in the emotional part of, just give me Jesus, hallelujah. I don't want to talk about nobody but Jesus. And and you look at them like, stop the shenanigans, because you don't even know who you're talking about. And if I was to pull up the Life magazine, when was it? Was it in December? I think it was in December. Might have been in January this month. And they had the picture of him with the white skin and the brown hair hanging, and he said, "Whom do you say I am?" I said, "Fake. You're fake."
Amen.
False Messiah.
Yeah.
This is fake. All of it fake.
False Messiah. Everything, the new covenant that's saying that it's a new covenant when it's the renewed covenant. It's all like, it's like when, Jesus went up onto the mountain and then, Satan was tempting him with all these different things. It's the same. It's just whitewashing everything. It's just like putting a blanket over the history and how would you call it? I haven't even got the words for it. It's just blanketing what we should have been taught. When I was there, I was thinking, well, when I was in church, I was like, shouldn't we? That was when my question started. Shouldn't we really be speaking Hebrew then? Those were the questions that were starting to come. Why am I speaking English? Why am I not reading the Old Testament? Why, the questions start to come. Why do they feel the need that they need to not go over the Old Testament? Why does it have to be, Jesus came and basically he's created a new covenant with everybody else? Everybody's included now. No, it wasn't everybody included. But that's the trick. That was the trick. That was the greatest trick that Satan pulled off, to be honest. He pulled it off. He was the instigator. He's subtle and he's very sly. Very sly. So the differences are, yes, we are following God because we are going to church and it makes me wonder who I was praying to when I was there, to be honest. When I had blessings, it made me wonder who actually blessed me. It makes me think now, who actually blessed me? Who actually came forward for me?
Right.
Who was I praying to?
Right. Absolutely. And so when you have these things and you understand this, anybody else have anything to say before I start? Because I don't want to get started and somebody had something to say about her comment, but...
I just wanted to say that I like the way you started the show, and I hope you're taping this, because just what you said in the first couple of minutes of the show, that's something I would want to be able to relate to someone else, just to make them think, about who they're worshiping and who they're serving. And they always, when you tell them about this truth, they think you're crazy.
Yes, we are taping it. Yes, we are definitely so.
Awesome.
And it's a big thing, but it's something that when your eyes are open, you begin to question those things, and you begin to question, what you were served up until the Most High introduces himself to you, because he is so, he's so powerful and so smooth that he lays back and allows it to happen. And the way that I know that is when we look at the story of Joseph. The Most High allowed Jacob to believe his son was dead. He did for the purpose of preserving a nation. He thought about the bottom line, and the bottom line was to preserve Israel. He did not come back and behind when his sons told him that Joseph had been killed by an animal and that he was dead. He didn't come back and say, "Oh, it's going to be all right." He didn't whisper in his ear and say, "I've got him tucked away in Egypt. He's going to be just fine. Dry up your tears." He didn't do none of that. He let the man suffer for the benefit of a nation. So guess what? We had to go through the whole church thing for the benefit of a nation. We had to be able to say, okay, I was in this. And you're right, sis. Some of the stuff that we learned wasn't that far-fetched. And, some of the Bible classes that we learned did read the stories to us. But they could only give us the surface. But because we had the surface, it gave us a foundation to want to know more. So as we began to read for ourselves, we was like, well, that don't really make sense because that's not what this say. And then when you began to ask questions, then you became a rebel. But in the midst of it all, Yah was still there the whole time watching us being taken through the steps that we was taken through. And then when the time came, guess what he did? He said, I got something to show you. And he said, my sheep know my voice. They said in another, they will not follow. And you went to listen, like, what you got to show me? And then when you began to see it, you're like, oh, my goodness. But the way that we have been served up, and I see you, brother, you're right, I know you're coming. The way we have been served up today with the things that we have been watching, We've got to be able to let our people know under no uncertain terms are this allowed, and it's time to start repenting. And the biggest thing is some people have 1 foot in the church and 1 foot out, and they scared to death to move because they've been threatened. And that's one of the signs of a bully or a person who has you under a spell is they have to threaten you to keep you to stay. All right, if you quit paying your tithes, the devourer is going to come, and he going to eat up all your stuff, and you're going to be stuck with no money. I'm here to tell you today, that's not true. That's not true. That's a lie. That is not true. Anytime that you have to be threatened to stay somewhere, you're in a cult. You're in a cult. Anybody else have something to say?
It's actually witchcraft, to be honest, because it's manipulation.
It is.
You know,
it is.
Trying to convince somebody of something that's not true. It's like when somebody lies to you, maybe they're deceived as well, but when somebody lies to you about something, it's witchcraft. They're trying to convince you of something, deceive you about something. It's witchcraft. If you look on a deeper level, it's not. If someone's trying to convince you of something that's not true, that's part of witchcraft.
It is.
It doesn't have to. You don't have to have magic and all these fandangles going around, and what we see is witchcraft on the television. No, it's subtle. It's so subtle. There's a thin line. It's so thin. So thin.
Absolutely. And that's where the people make their mistake, because that's what keeps them in fear, because they don't know when to move or what to move. They're like, well, should I go or should I stay? Or should I stay or should I go? And it's like, you have to come to the conclusion that this isn't real. And when you tell people that today, they look at you like you crazy, like you must be crazy. Girl, do you know how big the Church of God in Christ is? Do you understand how big the Holiness Church is that is around this country? And you mean to tell me all those people that's loading into those buildings with those gowns on and those church robes and stuff is being deceived? Clearly, you're the ones that's being deceived. And you know what I tell them? I say, if you really read the book, you'll understand that Yah never deals with numbers. He never deals with the crowd. He don't. And numbers has nothing to do with nothing.
Exactly. And whose voice are we really following anyway? Whose voice are we listening to? Is whose voice is stronger? That was my pull. And who are you listening to? Are you going to listen to them, or are you going to listen to him? It's a decision. You have to come to, as you say, a conclusion for yourself. Am I listening to them, or am I going to do what he says? When he told Abraham to come out from amongst his people, Abraham listened. He made that decision. Yes. He might have grown up with family members that he loved so much.
What you doing?
And didn't want to leave.
No, I was in bed. I'm cold. Yeah, that's why I let him know. What you doing? That ain't like him.
Hold on.
What you doing now?
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening to you, sister.
Oh, no, I thought someone else was talking. Yeah, I was just saying, it's just making that decision. You're faced with a decision. Whose voice is stronger? Is it a man's voice, or is it, Yah's voice? Sometimes you're scared and you think, oh, maybe it's the devil, because they've taught you that the devil wants to take you out of the church and leave you in the wilderness, and then you'll be, what is it they call it? A backslider.
Right.
You're a backslider, and they will use that to manipulate you to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you become fearful, but then the fear is not of Yah anyway, because He says, "Do not fear." So
right.
you're challenged. You're challenged, but you have to make a decision, right or wrong. If you make a mistake, you can always go back, but you have to make a decision. You can't stay. If you're getting called and you know the calling, you feel it inside of you, something's not right. So you have to make that decision for yourself and say, you know what? Okay, they're saying that I shouldn't go, but I just feel in my heart that this isn't right and I have to leave. If that's what you're hearing, that voice you're hearing, you need to act on that voice.
Now let me tell you where the problem comes in at, and this is the big issue. This is the big elephant in the room. Somebody, we need to mute your mic if you squawking or whatever. I don't know what you're doing, but we are taping, so please put your phone on mute. This is where the issue comes in at, is that most people, when they do this and they make this decision to leave, the first thing they do is they go to YouTube because they're trying to find somewhere to be. You know, and they usually find one of the largest groups they can find because they feel like these groups are prosperous because they're large. Or they find a group that gives them that familiar church feeling. They have the whole church set up. You know, they don't want to really release themselves from church. If you say we're Israelites, okay, I believe that, but I need that church setting. And what they end up doing is instead of staying by themselves, reading and praying and trusting Yah, they go into another situation that totally takes them all the way to the left. And then when they have a bad experience, what happens is they now all of a sudden feel like they made the wrong decision. And my advice, and I'm glad that we're doing this way because this is not the way I had planned on going, but my advice to everyone, when you're at that position and you're not sure what to do, don't do anything. My advice to you is to open up that Bible and begin to read your Bible and begin to go fast and pray before the Most High and ask Him to lead you in the direction that you need to go in. Because, people are very fragile spiritually. And we have to be careful with how we handle each other spiritually because people are very fragile. And understanding that all of us are coming from somewhere. We're coming out of witchcraft. We're coming out of wickedness. We're coming out of deviant behavior. We're coming out of sexual immorality. We're coming out of a lying spirit. We're coming out of being deceptive to people. Some of us were con men and women. Some of us, we all coming from somewhere. So you got to be very careful. And sometimes it's best to just step back and detox. Detox your spirit. Detox your body. Detox your mind. And just ask the Most High to show you, and He will. Anybody else?
Yeah, Sister Yaina, I was just thinking about how our ancestors during the Spanish Inquisition, how they just held on to truth and would not accept this pagan religion that the Catholics were trying to teach them. And it seems that after slavery and they scattered our people everywhere, and they created a caste system that we kind of wanted to be a part of that. Not that we wanted to. Some of us were made to, or I believe probably most. And now that we are part of, or some of us are still in Christianity, we have that sense of community. And because that was the only avenue that gave us that sense of community, we held on to that. And because we were always a passionate emotional people because we gave praise to the Most High like nobody else could. So because of that, when we leave Christianity, we look for community instead of looking for a connection to the Most High. And if we can find a community that closer mimics what we were used to, we kind of attach ourselves to it, and I believe that's unfortunate. So I would advise people to get the connection to our Most High first. Seek His face before joining a church-like organization.
Absolutely, because you got, and the reason why I say that is because you got to understand who He is and what it's all about. You got to understand who He is and what it's all about. Because you got some of these people that admit that they're Hebrew Israelites, but they don't believe we're supposed to keep the law. You got some churches that are out here that believe that they're Hebrew Israelites, but they still teaching the rapture. And they still teaching we going to heaven. So a lot of it hasn't changed. They just have accepted the fact that we the people. So you got to be real careful with where you take yourself, because as you walk into these places, when they make you mad, then you're going to come somewhere else and everybody has to detox you again. And the only way that you're going to find that truth out is in the Word. That's where it is. That's where we stay. We can't afford to go off into the deep end anywhere. We stay in the Word because it's in that Word where you understand who Yah is. And 99.9% of the people in the church do not know who the Elohim of Israel is. They don't know Him. They don't. Yeah, they really don't know Him. And it's like, they're emotionally tied to Him, but they don't really know Him. They're emotionally tied to a fictitious deity. I'll say that.
And that was deception done by design, though.
Yeah.
They deceived us that way.
Absolutely. All of this has been by design. She said deception by design. All this, all this has been by design. They set out a contract together to deceive us. It was done by design. Real tough.
I just want to give Yah all the glory and say thank you for answering Yah's call with your teachings, because I was born into a church, and all my life, I don't know, there was always something weird about me. I never really felt comfortable. And finally, my husband was trying to tell me to, help me to wake up, but I could argue you down to the ground with the Bible, what I thought I knew. Right. Until one day, being home alone, I came across your program. He had told me about it, but I didn't remember the number. But for some reason, I found it, and you were teaching. And I said, why is she talking about, I think it was Genesis 13:15 or 15:13, I don't remember. And when you were reading it, I said, but I've read that scripture before, and I didn't see it that way. And when you finished, I got up, reached for my Bible, prayed, opened it, and I read it 3 times. And lo and behold, a light bulb came on in my head. And I said, well, why couldn't I have seen this? Was I that blinded in this world? I said, I know that you walk by faith and not by sight, but was I that blind spiritually? And then I started going through the Bible again bit by bit. And I've read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation many times in my life. Here I was 67 and a half years old at that time. And that is when my eyes and my brain cells became open to the truth. And I praise Yah because I'm always seeking truth. And I'm always praying and asking the Ruach to help me. Help me to understand, because sometimes I listen to something or I read something, and if I don't get clarity, I ask for the anointing of the Ruach, the Holy Spirit, to show me, help me to learn. And sometimes I have things in my mind, and I will get on this program, and I quietly am listening, and Yah brings the clarity to me. So that's a blessing that He's given you and the others on this program, because I listen to everyone intently, and I'm learning by leaps and bounds. And so I say to all of you, and I appreciate Brother Donia. I am praying so hard for Brother Donia, and I am not going to get into why, but Yah knows my heart and my mind, because I respect that man greatly, and I know that Yah is able to save all of us, and his heart is there and his mind is there, and we will prevail with his help. So I just want to say thank you, one and all, for your input, and I thank you, Sister Yaina, for your teaching, because you've given me a peace of mind that money could never buy.
Hallelujah. Now I want you guys to open up your screen. I want you to open up your screen so you can see this magazine cover. So you can see this magazine cover. And for you guys who don't know how to open up your screen, I want you to go in, open up a open up a page, and I want you to put in Life Magazine 2020 Jesus. That's what I want you to put, and pull it up. It's the first one that came up for me was eBay. Do you all see this?
Biden.
Yeah.
Can you see it? I mean, this is the fictitious creature that they have created, and this is the person that the whole world believes that they worshiping.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And look what it says. Who do you say that I am?
Mm-hmm.
And my response was a fake.
That's right. Exactly.
This is a fake.
Mm-hmm.
A false deity is what that is.
It is really a false deity. It is a false deity. And that is the dangerous thing that Christianity don't want to accept, especially the black church. They refuse to accept the fact that they are worshiping a false deity.
Money. So that's what we see now.
I would hazard a guess that they're worshiping the image of a fallen angel.
Absolutely. Can you imagine under this kind of a situation and realize that this is why we got in trouble in the first place? Because we were worshiping other deities? And guess what? As long as white America believes that that's who he is, they don't mind you worshiping him.
It's almost like we were given this because they were worshiping other entities. So I said, that's what you want. This is what you get. Here,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. It's all been fake. And then you know what they'll turn around and tell us? Okay, so he's black, so what's the difference? Well, why? What difference? It makes all the difference in the world because you're lying to people. You're telling people that this is the person who we're supposed to be worshiping. That's a false deity. I'm going to have to put somebody's phone on mute. I don't want to, but there's nothing wrong with having a conversation outside of the class, but it's a false deity. And all the songs and the Huckamashanda and blah, 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 all of that is to that deity right there.
It's also a false representation of the Most High.
It is. Because he's not there, sis. He's not in it. He's nowhere to be found in
spirit and in truth when you don't even know who he is. When you deny the very reality of what and who he is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
I like how
me,
she said that. It is. If you can't worship him in spirit and in truth, and that depiction is not the truth.
not the truth.
But it's been fed for so many years. That's the narrative they've created. They needed that narrative from, that's why they created it. The false narrative. I think I watched, I can't remember, from Hebrews to Negroes. And they just created this narrative. And I think White It Out showed it as well, how they had to show the superiority of their race, not even race, because there's just one human race, but their people. They had to show the superiority of themselves. We constantly, even black people will have pictures of the white Jesus in their home. The idolatry is so strong, that spirit is so strong. They steal your natural given faith and replace it with this idolatry. It's an abomination, that's why I think.
And then they have the code word. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the code word, once you find out or question it, just like you said earlier. Oh, it doesn't matter. Well, why do we have it if it doesn't matter?
Exactly.
But every Christmas, when you bring that point up, but it doesn't matter. It does matter.
Yes, it does. It matters. It matters, or they wouldn't have changed it. Because I'm gonna tell you something about this world. If the truth was ever to be brought out and they could vehemently not be able to deny it, guess what? Christianity would cease from existing. It would. Because they need to worship someone that looks like them, and that's fine. Because we already know that's what the other nations were doing anyway. When the Most High separated the nations at the Tower of Babel, he gave each one of them their own gods. So this is something they did anyway. The problem is that now you have Israel waking up to understand that they're Israel, and you're still worshiping another deity that you're not supposed to be worshiping. And that's why I tell you the book has been plagiarized, because they use our book with our Elohim in it to fortify the belief of that deity that you just saw. And one has nothing to do with the other. It's called the theft of intellectual property. It's a violation. You can't. How are you going to use the book that is of a deity that deals with his people, and we know Israel is black, and then you're going to use it for a deity that's not even the same color? How do you do that? But you have so many of us that will challenge us. They'll push back. They'll have all kind of words to say. They go to all white churches. Some of them have Caucasian pastors. And it's like, come on, people, get to know the Elohim that you serve. It's unfortunate. It really is an unfortunate situation, but the whole thing, and when you tell them it's not true, none of it is, that's not real. What you're doing is just, it's a simulated a service, but it's not real. The whole thing has been, it's made up. It's fake. I know Jesus. Honey, I love Jesus. Don't talk about Jesus now. Everybody knows Jesus, but they know that one on that picture right there. They know that one. That's why they don't have any problem standing next to you and worshiping in their churches, because you believe the one that they put on that picture. But I just wonder, how many would still be here if they were to show what he really looked like?
They wouldn't be here.
No, yeah, they would. Of course they would.
Nah, them folks would get gone quick.
I wonder, how many of them would still stand there if the picture was changed? Because the book of Revelation clearly tells you what he looked like.
Well, you see how they act when they find out if they got a black leader in any aspect down here. So if they see the main man that's over all this, are you kidding? That's going to be a problem.
Or they come up with the other code word. He's olive color.
No. Well, we gonna settle that right now. We gonna go to the same book everybody carrying, and we gonna pull it up in Revelation chapter 1 because it's clear. Yeah. Let's go see what that say. Revelation chapter 1, verse 15 through 17. It says, his feet like unto fine brass. Now we know what brass color is. Brass is a brown. It's a derivative of a brown color, as if they were burned in a furnace. Now, when you burn brass in the furnace, what color is it?
Black.
It's black. So if his feet is black, his whole body got to be black.
But the funny thing is, during slavery, did they not, permit people not to read? So that state we've maintained that state of uneducation, to be honest, of not really delving into things because we weren't allowed. That's no excuse now, but that spirit has continued as well. So us being spoon-fed information is something that we are used to. Someone telling us what to do, telling us where to go, what to read. That has been the narrative as well. Yeah. We allow someone to teach us everything. They have to tell us because, my pastor is, the authority over even supposed to be Yah, really. That's how they, conditioned us to think. They conditioned us a long time ago, and it's continued.
Yeah. But they can read. They can read now. I know you fine. They can read now. So what's the problem now?
Exactly.
And keep in mind, in the beginning, they beat us into it. Beat us into the ones that did remember the religion when they were first in captive. They beat them to the point where, you couldn't worship anymore unless some people chose death, And then they made sure the other generations would be brainwashed.
That's not. Ain't nobody beating them now.
Yeah, now because
you can read now, and guess what? Yeah. And guess what? When we bring it to them. And we show it to them, they still argue us down.
Yeah, well, it takes a minute. It took me a minute, even though I wasn't die hard, but I was still there. Everybody's mind, ain't open yet. But we're running out of time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But just know that you're worshiping a false deity. So whatever feelings that you're feeling and whatever goosebumps you got running up your back, and whatever scriptures that you think you're quoting that is attached to that deity, it is not what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a false deity.
Exactly.
And that means that the word is being plagiarized. Plagiarized. Does it have power behind it? Absolutely it does. Because it's Yah's word. So if you repeat it enough, you might get a shaking or something going on, because that's Yah's word. But it still is not going to produce for you what it's supposed to produce until you understand the deity that it belongs to. And until you do that, you will continue to stay in something that will never produce. It will never produce
fruits.
You know, I found real interesting when you ask a Christian about Jesus, you know, what is he? Some say he's God. Some say he's a prophet. Some say he's, you know, God's son. I mean, you get all these, and I'm looking at my experience. I'm like, man, I was confused about that too. You know, but you hear all these different, you know, but the Bible clearly states that God is God alone. He said it himself. But they'll call him God, prophet, you know, and whatever else they'll think of.
But they never give him a name. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it, everybody's talking about they serve God. And you know, it was something that Sister Afion said that kind of stuck with me. She said every other deity in this book got a name. But when you call him God, so that could be anybody. So they're calling on that fake deity when they say God said. Because our deity has a name and a title. He is the Elohim of Israel. And you know what they saying now? Okay, y'all into the Bible a little bit too much now. We just gonna worry about saving souls. You can't have one without the other.
I heard that.
I want to know, how can you save souls when you don't know what sin is? Please.
Hello. I'm glad you said that one. You're actually sending people to damnation. That's what you're doing, but you don't realize it.
And you know something else? Not only does he have a name, but he looked like his people.
He sure. Come on, sis. Come on, sis. He looked just like his people.
That's it. That's the key. That's the beautiful thing right there. Right there.
Sure is. Just like his people.
Yep. And that's the part they didn't want to reveal to us, those who do know, because the minute you mention it, they'll say, oh, that's racist. And that's just a narrative to kind of shut you down. But if his people knew what he really looked like, they would know their importance to him. And that's the part they didn't want to reveal to us.
No. Because if he looked like you, then it would make you have a different attitude about yourself. But as long as they had you bowing down to one that looked like them, you stayed as a servant. You remained on the bottom. But now that we realize, wait a minute, not only did he look like us, but we are his people, and the deity and the people go together. You can't separate the two. So then, wait a minute, let me get this straight because I want to understand. So now that you tell me that, you mean we have a black deity, and now all of the people that are Caucasian, he has set all of his black family aside, and now he's going to save all the Caucasian people and do away with his black family.
After having said he wouldn't do that after having said he never would.
It don't make sense. And it's not being racist. It really isn't. It's what the book says. It's not being racist at all whatsoever. But it's what the book says. So if you can show me in the book where Jesus is a Caucasian man,
I don't know if anybody remember.
Let's not forget about the angels of Africa coming over here to
Right.
Can't forget about that.
I remember that one.
I mean, I think I heard Brother Uriah. Are you in there? Did you say something?
Yes, I was trying to say something. I'm not sure if anyone remember in 1969, the cover of Ebony magazine, there was a black Jesus, and the black community pretty much rejected it and was going to unsubscribe to that particular magazine, if anybody remembers that.
I think I do remember that.
Yes, black Jesus on the cover.
But my thing is, if he's not black, show me where he's white. Because there is a description of what he looks like in there. Because Because you use the book to identify who he is, and you're using the scriptures to include yourself in it. So show me where he looks like what you guys put on Life magazine. Because if you can't do that, then you're plagiarizing the book. Because the book and the Elohim and the people go together.
Yep. And those who say it doesn't matter, then why is that image portrayed on Life magazine?
Exactly. I went up to the counter in the line and said, "You are a fake."
That's why.
It was to give them power because they want the whole world. That means all the races to worship this image. If they're the ones that worship Buddha or they worship the Indian god, no, you all worship this image. So,
And guess what, sis? That's fine if that's who you choose to worship. Just don't include him or make him be somebody that he's not.
It's fine for everybody except the children of Israel.
Exactly.
Yes.
You get your own scriptures.
The Chinese people can worship him. The Russian people can worship him. Everybody can worship that deity on the top of that magazine. But don't try to make him be somebody that he's not.
Yep. It was power, control, and manipulation.
The religion of the Gentile.
Say that again, sis.
Christianity is the religion of the Gentile.
It is. It really is. It really is. It really is. And we have all the people that proclaim that they're a non-conscious Israel fighting over this deity that ain't real. It's incredible. It's incredible.
A bunch of liars, deceivers.
Yep.
Because they get to dress up and go into an organization that makes them feel like community.
Exactly. That's why they have the mindset that they have. They know this is, like I said, a lot of them know the truth. Some of them may not. But no, most of us didn't have no idea it was about us. We had no idea. This whole thing. Like the Bible was a love letter to us. To us. For us. I try telling people that. Some people are open, some they don't, which I find shocking. Their mind can't be open to, there is somebody for you. They're not trying to hear it.
Nope. But that goes back to what you guys were saying earlier. You know, that we've been conditioned to accept whatever we've been told. However, and guess what? I don't have a problem with that if that's what you want to accept. But just know that when you're doing that, you're worshiping a fake deity. That the deity that you worship and the book that you're using, it doesn't go together. That's why it's not working. I can tell you. That's why it's not working.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand the discipline that he had to give us to get us back to where we are. I understand it now. I used to think it was harsh, but now I understand it. I understand it a lot why we had to go through this, because we are so hard-headed. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. That's why. That is exactly why it don't work. But everybody will keep doing the same thing, and it's the definition of madness when you do the same thing and expect different results. It's like taking a recipe that I have, and you're going to steal the recipe and try to cook the cake, but you don't want to give me the credit for the cake, and it's my recipe in the first place. Of course I'm going to leave an ingredient out of it because I don't want you to take the credit for it. And you know what he left out of it? The people. You can't have one without the other. The book is about us. Every prophet in the book was an Israelite. All of the Israelite people were black people, and the deity is black. We were made after his image and his likeness.
And even though we read the scriptures about, I believe it was Absalom that had locks of hair, and of course, who was the real strong one? I forget right now, but they had locks of hair, and we should have drawn the correlation that hey, locks of hair. The only hair that locks is hair like the Negro hair. But But for this strong delusion that we were under, we just didn't accept what we were reading.
Yeah. Well, you put the picture too. You know, they have the pictures with them with the lock hair. They just
you said the key word, the Negro. The Negro race.
Everybody would say this conversation is racist. This is too racist for me.
Yeah, they'll think it's racist.
What does it matter? I said, well, why did you change it then? Because you've taken something and stolen something that doesn't apply to you, but again, you want to assume the identity and the benefits that go with it, and it's not working. Because you're quoting scriptures that don't belong to you, and you're applying them to your everyday life that don't belong to you, and you're not getting the results that you want to get, but you keep on doing it over and over and over again. Why? Because the deity and the people and the book go together.
And, you know, it's just a crazy argument because most people, when they are biblically inclined, at least deal in prophecy to a certain extent. You cannot understand the prophecies unless you know who the people are. That's the reason why people are able to make all of these false predictions that don't come true. They're not dealing with the Elohim of the Bible, and they are not dealing with the correct people. You cannot get a correct measure if you use a false measuring stick.
Well said. That's exactly it.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely. And that is what you just described is Christianity.
The evangelicals, they just did that.
Yeah.
When Trump leaves, they're going to find out that all of them are false.
That's why it's easy for the prophet to stand up in the church and prophesy to you things about your everyday life. Because guess what? The enemy knows what you're going to go through because they putting you through the trauma that you're going through in the first place. But with all this power that Christianity has, we shouldn't need any COVID vaccines.
COVID is doing what it's, I guess, supposed to do. If you believe in Elohim, I don't think you have to worry about it, honestly.
All these pastors that's preaching from their houses and people cash apping them money, they should be at the hospital laying hands and raising these people up.
Yep.
But it ain't doing what it's supposed to do because you've stolen the book and you've attached it to a false deity.
And all those prophets that had prophesied the results of the election, I don't understand why those people are not seeing truth for what it is. But like I said, it's deception by design.
Mm-hmm. And the Ten Commandments, it says make no image, no graven image to worship, to bow down before. And even on the mountain, you have to remember, you never saw anything.
That's right. Absolutely. And it's hard for a lot of people to swallow this. It's hard for people to accept this because they just can't believe the experience they had ain't the real deal. But one thing about Yah, when he comes into your life, it's life changing. It ain't no shivers up your spine. When he come on the scene, and I done been in church services where they stand up talking about, he's here. And because women are emotional, they start crying. And then you got some people standing in the room looking around like, okay, what's going on? Because I don't feel all that. Mm-hmm. Ain't none of that when y'all come in the room. None of it. He's here, all right, but it ain't that deity. It's not the one of the Elohim of Israel. It ain't. It's not him. And that's the part we got to keep telling them. You all are worshiping a false deity. And we talking about our people, not nobody else, but our people.
Yeah, because they can do all that. They have the carte blanche or whatever they call that card. They can worship whatever they want to worship.
Yeah.
Israel, no.
I mean, I heard them on the radio talking about we're supposed to be believers of Jesus Christ. We're not supposed to be out in the streets carrying on like that. How are these people supposed to be believers in Jesus Christ and they're all over the store? They're laying all over the place because that's what y'all are. It's real serious stuff. This is real serious stuff when you start talking about this kind of stuff right here. This is real serious because it lays the foundation for something that's not real. And I tell my family all the time, it's not real. Why do you keep saying that? You talking? I said it's not real. You can't create a fictitious deity and then use our book and attach it to the deity and expect to get results. It's not real. And then they come back with, oh, he's a spirit anyway. No, he's a spirit being. He's a being. He's not a human being, but he's a spirit being. He has feet, legs, arms, hands, toes, mouth, nose. You know why? Because he said, I made man in my own image and in my own likeness.
Yes, ma'am, you do.
That's why there's no power in there. He ain't gonna let you use the book. He's not gonna give you the results or whatever you looking for when you use the book. So all you gonna get is a shake and a quiver, cause you exciting your own self. I'm serious. They're exciting their own self.
Entertainment.
It is. You know, you say it long enough, you'll get happy. He said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I'll be with you to the ends of the earth. That's enough to get everybody excited.
Hallelujah.
It is. But it ain't talking about that when you all dealing with it.
They get people on emotions. Yeah. They work on people's emotions. Just like, you know, me and my friend were talking about, you know, they specifically time when they put in for the tithes and they're collecting the tithes and then they play this type of music. And the music is what is meant to draw you to take out your money. It makes you feel guilty or it moves you in some sort of way. It's psychology they use, you know. It's just like going into a shop and they play certain music. It's to touch certain emotions within the person to give. You know, that's manipulation.
And threaten you too if you don't give it. Now you know they'll go right in the book of Malachi when the Most High is talking to the children of Israel, talking about rain that will come down to water the crops so that they would have food. They'll go right into that same chapter and pick out that scripture in the book of Malachi and scare the mess out of you. That's not, no. Mm-mm.
After telling you that the old law is done away with.
Right. Right.
Oh, gosh.
My goodness.
But you don't see it until you're out of it.
That's right.
And that's where you have pastors that are bishops of mega churches that are raping boys and raping women, getting caught in hotels, finding them dead in hotels because they overdosing from drugs, or getting involved with all kind of activity that's unbecoming to them, and they still let them preach because the thing ain't real. And the only way you're going to get the peace that you desire is you have got to realize that the deity is fake. And you got to seek after the real deity that those are his words, because he said, I put my word above my name. Those are his words. And if you seek after him, he'll let you find him. And when you find him, he'll show you. show you when you look for him. He said, I'm gonna let you find me. But if you keep on supporting these people's lifestyles, they're gonna keep on feeding you the lie. Cause I would if I was a deceptive person. These people making millions of dollars. They living good off of your money, and all of it is fictitious.
Yeah, they bribe the poor people, you know.
And you broke, and you don't have your money to pay what you need to pay.
Right.
It's not real. The deity's not real. The services are designed to deceive you. And guess what? You can't mix a fake deity with the word of Yah and expect to get different results, because the word and the Elohim and the people go together. We're a complete package. You can't have one without the other. You can't think that you're going to replace us and step into our place, because he chose us to be his people.
Oh, yes.
You can't think that you have us in your churches with our word and leave our Elohim out. It don't work that way. Imagine, y'all, they got the children of Israel in the churches praising and worshiping, using the Bible that's associated with the children of Israel, and they're worshiping another deity. That is some dangerous stuff right there.
It made me think of Psalm 147, 19. He showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and judgments of Israel. He has not dealt so with any nation.
With any nation. With any nation. But it's been plagiarized. I hate to tell you. The next time somebody asks you why you're going to go to church, you can tell them the Bible has been plagiarized. You guys are worshiping a false deity.
They wouldn't believe you. They wouldn't believe it.
No, you worshiping a false deity. You can't have one without the other. That Bible is about an Elohim that chose a people for himself, and the people and the Elohim and the word goes together. You cannot separate the three. It's no way. You're not going to get the results you want. And guess what? Judah can sing. Judah can sing you into tears. Judah is the tribe of praise. We can praise you into shouting, but that's all you're going to get. You ain't going to get nothing else. There ain't going to be no results to come from it. You still dying by the droves and dying of cancer and dying of this and dying of that. We're supposed to have power to be able to do these things. And we're not going to have his power until he gets his people and he brings himself back to his people and he instructs us on how to use his power.
Oh, yeah. And they didn't pay all the tithes all these years. Yeah. Now COVID didn't hit. What didn't happen? Preacher living in a $100 million mansion, they lost their jobs living in their car.
Yeah.
And they will still give out of the little that they have because they think it's the right thing to do. That is just a terrible thing. Even when you don't have, you felt guilty or pressured into giving what you don't have. And then there's people within the congregation that have needs and they can't even feed them. It's ridiculous. I used to wonder why. Look how many homeless people are around here. Why don't you do something for the homeless people? But you want to tell them that they're sinning. But, you can't tell them they're sinning and show not love. You can't show them no love and then, be taking their money. It's my friend said, give me back my money. I want back my
Absolutely.
I want back my money.
Yeah, don't start me, sis, on that one. I have a real hard time. I'm better now, though, because I used to be real out there. Give me my money back, for real. But I mean, you know, I've gotten better. I've grown up a whole lot, you know. I just figured, you know, you got me. You did. You got me that time. It's the first time. Shame on me. It won't be a second time.
Well,
I didn't know no better. My eyes closed, but to walk back in there and put a penny in the basket won't happen for me. Not me.
I'm not even setting foot into the environment. I'm telling you.
And people cash apping the money. They cash apping the money. It's like, wow. But, you know, I just wanted, this is not the route I was going. I was going to try to use my PowerPoint presentation, but I guess this is how the Most High wanted this to go today, you know, and I think that it's very important that we get this out there. I guess people need to hear this, but it just dawned on me one day, like, they are worshiping a fake deity, a false deity. They are worshiping another God. And he told us that, though, didn't he? He said, I got to read that. Let me go to the scripture, because he told us that. And some of us fought us down. They fought us down when we brought this scripture to them. Y'all know where I'm going. Mm-hmm. Right to Deuteronomy chapter 28. You know exactly. He told us that. Didn't he tell us that? He said, you was going to be made to do what?
Serve other gods, wood and stone.
Wood and stone. Yes, he did. Man, oh man. He said, this is we have Deuteronomy 28:64. It says, and the Most High shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Told us that, and it was, you know what? It has come true. We have been worshiping another deity.
Yeah.
He said, and among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the soul of thy foot have rest. But the Most High shall give thee a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. He said, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. He said, in the morning thou shalt say, would Yah it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would Yah it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. He said, and the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. No man shall buy you. Off the chain. This word is true. You hear me? It is the truth.
Yeah, you made me think of something. And the sister who mentioned it doesn't measure up, and they're trying to measure something with the, place it next to the word of Yah. I think I'm going to ask, because it's very painful to see people who are not awake, just like I wasn't awake, obviously, at one point. But to say, does it seem real to you? Like what you were saying, does it make sense? Does it
right?
Does it make sense, and does it seem real? And maybe try that as a conversation.
Right, absolutely. Because when you tell them it's not real, everybody's in a moment of denial. They're like, well, you the one with the problem, because it can't be false because everybody else is doing it. You're the only one standing aside out of our whole family just talking about you, Israelite. Now, you may be the one with the problem. But you got to understand something about the Elohim of Israel. He never deals in numbers. It's never about the masses of people. It's not. It ain't going to never be the masses of people. Like Brother Doniel said, it's always going to be a remnant. Some people going to stay behind. Because they going to
broad is the way. Broad is the way that leads to destruction.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And he was going to start over with Moses alone.
Yes, he wasn't, though. He said, I'll wipe all these people out and start a nation with you. And Moshe had to intercede on our behalf, like, please don't kill him. Please don't kill him. Just have mercy on them. Don't kill them. He said, them is a hard-headed bunch of folks. Them is some stiff-necked people. And Moshe interceded on our behalf. He said, please don't kill them. Don't kill all of them. Ain't bad. Don't kill all of them. And what did he do? He killed off the ones that when they never got a chance to see it. They don't understand who he is. And then I heard Bishop Marvin Winans make a statement. He said, Jesus of the New Testament has changed my mind, in some paraphrasing, on how I felt about the Old Testament God. It's like, excuse me? You have no clue as to what you're talking about. But these people these people, I believe, I'm going to tell y'all, I believe some of these people are paid agents by the enemy. And they have deliberately set in motion. Now, everybody's not, but I believe some of these people is paid agents by the enemy, and they're doing what they need to do to sustain their lifestyle. They are. Now, some people don't know, but some people are. And, we just have to continue to pray for them and hope that the Most High will open up the one's eyes that he wants to have open when the time comes. He will. But, man, they was waiting, and they had the nerve to put that on Life magazine, on the December cover for Christmas. They had the white Jesus, the deity, on there, and then they had the nerve to have at the caption of it, who do you say I am? I said a fake. Another deity, another God. Just like the Bible said we was going to serve, that we was going to come over here and serve another God, gods whom we knew not, but of wood and stone. And they got the nerve to use our book to try to substantiate this God and give him the power. Please. Anybody else have any statements or comments before we dismiss for today? I think this went really, really well. Let me stop the recording before you guys leave. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget that we will be on the Blog Talk Radio Show tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The number is 718-664-9551. 718-664-9551. Brother Yerushalayim, if you want to give them some information about the men's call on Tuesday night.
Yes. The men's call is every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The number for that call is 720-820-1215. That's 720-820-1215. There's no access code to get on.
Thank you. And we also have a women's call on that same night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the number is 712-770-4066. 712-770-4066. And the access code is 154102#. 154102#. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. The recording is in